Welcome back to Rob Liefeld Appreciation Season here on Crypto Comics. And look what finally came in the mail from mycomicshop.com. This is Bloodpool number 1. I have reviewed Bloodpool number 1 in the past. It was Bloodpool Special number 1. I thought it was just regular old Bloodpool number 1 because I had 2, 3, and 4. I went out to a local comic shop, bought issue number 1, only to come home and discover that it was not this issue number 1, which is part of the 4-issue miniseries. It was Bloodpool Special number 1. It was fun. And I'm hoping to continue that fun within the pages of the miniseries that came before it. Unfortunately for all of us, this cover by Rob Liefeld, yes, might be the best part of this comic book. I mean, there's a couple things in it that I thought were fun. But this cover, pretty dope, pretty fun. I'm feeling it. What I'm not feeling is what's inside. Now, granted, this looks awesome, right? This looks totally fun. This bites, it sucks, it totally blows. Discharged. Written by Joe Duffy, penciled and colored by Patrick Lee. And it is Patrick Lee who I have a problem with. I am guessing this is one of the first comic books Patrick ever penciled way back in August of 1995 when this came out. This occurs immediately following the government shutting down the Bloodpool program. See, if you don't know, the Bloodpool program was where basically Youngblood cadets would find out if they had what it took to cut the mustard and join Youngblood. And all these kids are fine, but the art, this splooge eye right here, what is this? Her eye is about to like splooge out of her skull and just run down her face. It's way too much. It's really, really difficult to take in what exactly is happening in all of this. It's like I'm looking at a crappier version of Trencher. But basically Shaft is showing up to, tell the kids like, hey, I believe in you, but unfortunately the government isn't going to spend any more money on this. And so they're all very unhappy. And this guy is really the only part of this comic book I actually like. He's a possum. This is what happens when government testing goes too far. You get possum people. And Rubble here, he's just pissed off and is just going to rip his head off and throw it, which is the shtick he does in apparently every single issue. He's just going to throw his head. And it's like, that's funny a couple times, but it's going to get old and he's going to need to do more than just that. And so they get in this fight, this highly detailed art. Wow. But it's just not doing much for Matthew here. Not doing much for your boy Crypto. And this guy's just like he falls. They don't actually show it though, but here he is snoozing. Well, he is a kind of possum, isn't he? I guess when confronted with danger, he just sort of froze, right? Because possums play dead. There should be an O in front of that. Possum is spelled with an O. So, like, they're packing up their stuff, and Shaft gives them a tip. Like, there's a bunch of leftover government weapons down here. You guys could just take them, We're not using them for anything. And so they do. And they pack it all in this car, and they decide to, hit the road. And then you have Astrid from the pages of Glory number 3, in fact, who's driving along. Her driver is driving her along. And the van just comes zipping by. And these dudes get out of the van and they're like, hey, what's up here? They're going to kidnap this broad. But the kids in the Bloodpool aren't going to let that happen. So they just crash the car right into the side of the van. They get out and they're going to just like kick some butt. And these guys just think it's so funny that the Bloodpool is going to try to kick their butts. Ha 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 ha. Well, you little geeks can bite me. Fine, just as soon as you bite this. And what's that supposed to do? Not much, just a little molecular alchemy. So he picks up this hunk of metal, throws it at the guy, and it expands and turns to metal. It's like when Neo took the pill and all of a sudden, he starts turning into metal, right? Remember that? I do. It's Wetworks. I'm just kidding, it's not Wetworks. What are we plugging here? Youngblood number 2 from Volume 2, Berserkers number 3, New Men 19, Bloodpool number 3. Yeah, we're on number 1 right now, though, folks, so let's just stick with number 1. And they get in this fight, and Task is going to kick their butts. It's Task, if I'm not mistaken. This is Soul, and she's super cute, but not when drawn by Patrick Lee. This is Wilder. He's really awesome looking, but not when drawn by Patrick Lee. And so they just decide they're going to take off. And Astrid cuts them a fatty boom batty check right here. Enough capital to make heroics your job as well as an adventure. Wow, look at all them zeros. I guess we just figured out our future. I'll make sure this doesn't go for skateboards and chromium cards. Get ourselves an office with a secretary and beepers. It's a pager. Do you guys know what a pager is? It's like a little box about that big, and you would call the pager number, and then you'd enter your phone number, and the pager that someone had remotely would go off, and it would show your number, and they would know to give you a phone call from a payphone. Very dated. And apparently the possum dude is just like, I'm out of here. I would have kept the possum guy. He could have added some... He could have been the comedy sidekick of this team. They need one. More than just rubble. So anyway, how did this all shake out? You know, it's funny how series get started sometimes. Some titles, like Youngblood, for instance, leap fully formed from the creators' imaginations, leaving only minor details to be added along the way. Others grow out of characters and situations being developed in an already existing title. Some characters prove so interesting that they practically demand their own series, and that's to say nothing of what the fans, who can be quite vocal, have to say on the matter. Hence what is commonly referred to as a spin-off title. Still, other titles, though, the book you're holding now being a prime example, are the product of an initial burst of inspiration that somehow takes months and months and months of planning and preparation before finally evolving into a finished comic. In the case of Bloodpool, the idea for this title first popped into Extreme head honcho Rob Liefeld's head sometime around the summer of '93, when we were first working on Team Youngblood number 1. In Rob's plot for that issue, he had made reference to a training program called the Bloodpool. The program was to develop into a sort of academy for prospective Youngblood members, but it was, at that point, only mentioned in passing during an exchange between Sentinel and Team Youngblood administrator Alan Kiever. Fast forward several months. Rob was in the middle of work on Youngblood number 6, and he'd been knocking the idea of a Bloodpool series around a bit since its first mention. The right time for releasing a book about the Youngbloods to be, though, had yet to present itself. Instead, what had happened was Rob created a killer quartet of characters, and simultaneously, Rob gets ideas like most people get the sniffles, comes up with a great storyline for Youngblood, in which Shaft would be forced to recruit a couple of these characters for frontline combat when several other Youngblood members were incapacitated. That storyline ran through Team Youngblood 9, 10, and 11, and Youngblood 6, 7, 8, and 10. And two of the characters were Bloodpool's own Silence and Task. Silence and Task. They both made their first appearance proper in Youngblood number 8, and fan response to them was overwhelming. Some interesting things happened with the Youngblood characters around this time, though. As the result of the events in our Extreme Sacrifice crossover, the Youngblood program suddenly found itself in a precarious position with the United States Senate. This being the case, Rob gave me an outline for Team Youngbloods number 18 through 21, wherein a new director was appointed to the Youngblood program, and the program's components were given a major shaking and baking. One of these components was the Bloodpool. Over the course of this storyline, Rob decided the Bloodpool would be cut loose from Youngblood proper, and its members would be sent out into the real world to fend for themselves. This presented a limitless number of possibilities for the Bloodpool series, and, if you're interested in reading up on the genesis of Extreme's newest team of heroes, I'd highly suggest you get to a comic store and check out the aforementioned issues of Team Youngblood for a less abbreviated version of what went down. Task and Silence are prominently featured in issue 18 and issue 20, pretty much leads directly into this issue as far as the team's connection with Youngblood goes. History lessons aside, that still left the question of who was going to be handling this book. As a wise man once said, only fools rush in. So we definitely weren't about to hand the book over to just anyone. Luckily, just anyone doesn't do work for Extreme. Jo Duffy does, though, and the title she writes, Glory, has been on everybody's lips over the past few months. I had no idea Jo Duffy was a chick. Wow. Considering her stellar work on that book and a slew of other titles for other companies, most notably Catwoman for DC and Star Wars for Marvel, we knew she could deliver the fresh slant on the superhero team concept that we were looking for, and that the witty repartee she writes for her characters would be a big hit with the fans. Pat Lee works for Extreme too, and his previous work on Prophet Number 9 and the Extreme Sacrifice epilogue has turned a lot of heads. At the ripe old age of 20, his art is continually evolving and incorporates a wide array of influences, from Japanese manga to good old American animation. Glutton for punishment that he has also taken the task of coloring this book himself, and even created the characters Fusion for the team. I can't wait to see where this kid's going in the future. And lest we forget the other talent that forms the backbone of this book, inker Jamie Mendoza and letterer Kurt Hathaway, and the truly incredible color separators of Extreme Color all deserve a round of loud applause for their contributions to this book. Thanks, guys. Of course, the whole thing couldn't have been done if Rob hadn't first mentioned the Bloodpool in that Team Youngblood plot, lo, those many moons ago. Like I said at the outset, it's funny how series get started sometimes. And while this one has been a long time coming, we think you'll find it was definitely worth the wait. Oh, and before I forget, one thing we can't wait for is a name for this here Bloodpool letters column. If you can think of one that will blow us away, send it to us, along with your copious cheers and jeers regarding this issue's tale, and, if we like it, you'll find yourself loaded down with an awesome prize. Deal? Deal. Till then, I remain Eric Stevenson. So, there we have... Oh, I still got to pick up this Riptide number 1. I'm very curious to know what this 2-issue miniseries is all about. The toys, did they ever come? I think they did. So that is Bloodpool issue number 1. Somewhat of a disappointment for your boy Crypto, that's for sure. But you know what won't be a disappointment? Megawatt versus the Vampires of the Sun, written by your boy Crypto, now available on Kickstarter.com. Just go to megawattcomic.com and it will take you right there where you can back our campaign and support your boy Crypto in his dream of writing a ton of different totally awesome comic books for all you beautiful people in Webtown. I would appreciate it if you'd pick up your smartphone and just thumb your way over to megawattcomic.com and support Crypto Comics tonight by backing Megawatt versus the Vampires of the Sun while there's still time left. We really, really hope to hit our goal and create a totally awesome comic book for you and any of the children in your family who might enjoy sequential art like this. Now, I will be back tomorrow with another Rob Liefeld comic book for Rob Liefeld Appreciation Season right here on Crypto Comics. Until then, please hit that thumbs up. Please share this video. If you're new, subscribe. Hit the ding dong for notifications. And we'll be back tomorrow with another totally awesome comic book review. And as always, thanks for watching Crypto Comics.